Alright, welcome to Star Wars deck building card game, and I'm going to play a live game. So I'm going to play against myself today, but I'm going to go through unboxing it and going through the game itself. So the question in my previous video was around how did the game work with sleeves, and here I can show you this is what it looks like with a fully sleeved set. So I'm using Mayday Games premium sleeves, which are a 50 pack, and you can see here that quite easily there's the Galaxy deck, the planets deck, and the two starter decks nicely sitting there, and then the outer rim pilots are in the other section with the galaxy row. So there's 100 cards in that bottom right side, 20 cards top right, and you can see there it all goes in nicely, it is contained and neat. So yes, it does work nicely. Alright, so I'm going to play per the setup. I have got here my 6 cards in the galaxy row, my outer rim pilot deck to the right side. The rebel player starts with the force all the way down to their end. I have given out the 10 card starter decks to each empire player and rebel player, of which I've dealt 5 cards to each player. Now I am playing both sides, right? This is designed to walk you through the game of what it would be like with a friend. So the empire starts with Lothal as the imperial outpost or base, and Dantooine for the rebels. You can see here that the starting decks are going to be made up of those 10 starting cards. So Alliance Shuttle, Temple Guardian, or it's going to be a Rebel Trooper. And for the Empire, it'll be Imperial Shuttle, Stormtroopers, or the Inquisitor. So you can see there, that's good. Now, in the Galaxy row, I am facing away per the recommendation the Imperial card, so I can read the bottom of the card, and the other person, who wouldn't be me normally, can see their card. Neutral cards are normally horizontal. I'm keeping them facing this way so we can read them as a viewer. And I'm turning Lothal to face me because I'm playing against myself here to play this through with you. So you'll get a feel pretty quickly of what that looks like, and you're working there. There's not much game area here, as you can see, because I've tried to squeeze it all within the camera. But you get a feel pretty quickly, right, of what's going on. As you can see there, what I've done for the first player, I've spent my shuttles. I have bought the landing craft from the Galaxy row and placed Grand Moff Tarkin down. 2 damage from Stormtroopers go straight through to Dantooine. Now, flip turns, I have 3 shuttles here and Temple Guardian, which I'll play as a resource. And playing out Temple Guardian as a resource here will let me net 4 resources plus the 1 from the Force, so I should have 5 here, which will allow me to buy things in the market row. So 1 from the Force, which is nice, and then I'll get another 3 from the shuttles, 1 from the Guardian, and then that'll give me 5, which allows me a bit of flexibility here to look at buying something from the Galaxy row. Now, one of the rules here is that when you buy something from the Galaxy row, you pay the cost and you immediately replace it. Now, you can do any of your actions on your turn in any order. It allows you to get a feel for, you could buy 1 card to trigger a refresh or a flush out of the Galaxy row to maybe get a rebel card out. So here I bought a Headhunter for 1, and that goes into my discard pile. Now, a card is in play when you play it from your hand, and it's meant to stay in play until the end of the round, though I have a habit of just putting my discard pile when I've paid for it. In a bigger table when I was playing the night before, I was having resource gen one side, attacks the other, so you get a feel for it. Spend 3 here to play the Rebel Commando, which I've drawn out. So you see there, by buying the 1 from the Z95, having the Rebel Commando come out, I could do that there. So it's important to resolve the Galaxy row right away. The Rebel Trooper will attack Lothal for 2, which is good. So you can see here there's no capital ships protecting these planets or bases. Alright, we haven't drawn any out of the market row to put into our decks yet. So you can see here that's pretty free for all. And that's the nature of the game for a little bit here. Compared to my pre-practice games, where I had 6 or 7 capital ships per side going in given times, this one I didn't seem to have any capital ships, which is odd. So I've bought, I spent 4 here, triggered 4 from the shuttles to pay for General Veers. And you can see there, pay for him because my discard pile. The ATST is nice with 4 attack, and discard 1 card from your from the Galaxy row, which is nice. Right, so we shuffle, and one thing you got to do is at the end of your turn, you draw your next hand up, right? And I do that here because there are some actions you do, like the Y-wing bomber and others, where the opposition has to discard a card. I got to remember to do that. So the important part of the first couple of rounds while your deck's getting built and you have those core deck here, it's about resource generation. You need a bit of a flow going. You need to be able to generate resources. So you can see there I get the one from having the force with me on the tracker, the white dot all the way down, and I can use the 4 alliance shuttles that I have to pay for that there. So the rebel trooper will still do what it needs to do and most likely attack here. And I'll spend the 3 to buy the Fang Fighter, and the Fang Fighter says when you purchase this card, add it to your hand, right? Unless you draw the card if the force is with you. I realise I've just drawn from the market the what's it called? I didn't draw a card from my deck. I drew from the Galaxy Row, but however, Darth Vader does get drawn out because I pulled the Fang Fighter out. Something that Fang Fighter there is nice. The Fang Fighter is not too bad of a thing to boost out. Now, one thing I haven't grokked yet is that you can exile cards. There is a condition where you can exile a card, such as the Outer Empire lets you exile it, and it removes it from the game. Sometimes your decks become unwieldy large, and sometimes you want to exile your cards in your hand or your discard pile or your deck to streamline the occurrence of seeing those Star Destroyers or seeing the Mon Calamari ships, right? So it gets important. Right, so this 3 here, you can see here I've left the snow speed on the bottom of the deck. Whatever I've done here, I've realised, oh, hang on, that should be at the bottom of the deck, so I just quickly slide that under, tidy up a bit. So I have 3 coupons here. Like you lose your resources at the end of the turn. So your hand gets discarded and your resource gets discarded. And I want to buy some early acceleration of resources. So I buy an Outer Rim pilot and discarding, hoping to see him quickly. And then I will attack here for 5. So 3 from Fang and 2 from the Trooper. And I'm going to actually do a sabotage action where I target there. So non-capital ships can attack things in the Galaxy Row. And I have attacked the ATST to take it away from play. So they're crippling the Empire here. You get the bonus in the reward. The reward here was discarding 2 piles. I discarded exiling 2 cards. However, I didn't want to do that. The options here are May, right? All right, so we drop a hand for the Empire player, right? And you can see here we've got General Veers, Stormtrooper, landing craft, and a Lambda shuttle. Now, this here will let me draw 4 resources, landing craft, or let's see, heal 4 damage from my base. I choose to take the landing craft. Play the Stormtrooper here, and play General Veers. As you can see here, I've got 6 attack. And Veers will let me draw a card if a trooper is in play. And given there was already a Stormtrooper in play, I draw the card. So now I'm on 8 attack. You see there I've got 5 resources from the Imperial Shuttle, which lets me buy something here. Now, not enough to buy Vader. However, I could buy the TIE Fighter for 1, replace the card, and hopefully get something for 4. Right, and I can play them. As long as I have cards in my hand, I have action. Right, this is pretty handy here. Well, once you've paid for them. The biggest part of the economy here is doing that there. But see how I decided to use the attack from Veers and a Stormtrooper to remove Princess Leia from the Galaxy Row. I claim the reward, which is 4 more resources, and I gain 2 force points, which drags the force down and away. Right, so you can see there the force is now in the middle, which means no one has the force with them. That means now I can afford Darth Vader, which means I can pay the 8, get Darth Vader into my discard pile. And given my deck's rather thin at the moment, it's about 18 cards large, I think, or even less, we're in a good spot. So I spend the 8 there. I will discard that 8 because I need to discard them all, and away we go. My 2 attack goes through from the Stormtrooper, and away we go. There's a bit of damage here on Lothal. Oh, sorry, against Dantooine. I draw the Rebel hand here. Again, I should have drawn the Imperial hand up here. It doesn't change the outcome. I just got to get into a good habit. So I play the Alliance Shuttle to get 2 resources. We're going to play... See, the Z95 is nice when you have an enemy capital ship in play. You get a card. I can play the Commando here. And the commander is here. If your opponent discards one hand from your card at random, sorry, the opponent discards a card. Period. If the force is with you, it's at random. And so here I drop the hand, which I should have done before, and I choose to discard a card. And given I have 4 Imperial Shuttles, well, that's what I would do if I was the player. I'm using the mentality of what I have done if I was the Imperial player. So the attack goes through. I'm attacking for it was the 3, 5, 8. It was from the previous attacks, and so that pushes through Lethal. So you can see there I've done 8 damage against it. Given that there's no capital ships to defend or absorb the damage, which has to go on at the planet first, we're doing it there. Now, if you choose a 3-planet game, 4-planet game, or a galaxy-wide game, you, as the player, get to choose the planet, right? However, I'm just randomly doing random to 4, right? So you can see here, Corellia, Imperial ships. When you reveal Corellia, purchase a Galaxy Row card and add it to your hand, right? So an Empire card or a neutral card. There's the first ship, Blockade Runner, for cost 1 attack, 1 resource. If whoever buys that and puts it out, will get a buffer to their base, which is nice. Think of it, if you've played any sort of like Lord of the Rings card game, it becomes like the active location before you put points on a quest. Alright, so we're going to buy that ATST. I'm going to buy that, sorry, the Blockade Runner. Use the ATST, sorry, which has got 4 attack. You can, however, choose to pay off cards. So one of the advanced rules here is I can use resources and pay to neutral cards can be bribed. So you attack targets, the target value of your opposition cards in the Galaxy Row, or you pay bounty hunters off so they just disappear into the discard pile, right? So it's pretty handy there. So you can see there I draw up Sea Rock Cruiser as well as a replacement to the Quarren Mercenary. All right, so ATST attacks, destroys Dantooine, and you're meant to click like a victory pile, like I got there, right? I've played like 5 games, so I'm a little bit rusty, but you get the idea. So I drop a random one, Mon-Cala here. Mon-Cala at random lets me industrial strength, very similar to Corellia. I have to take a card from the row and place it top of my deck. With that, away I go, right? So I drop the hand for Empire. This would happen. My other player would be doing this, right? My opponent or player with me would be doing this element. So there's a bit of mental load here. You can see here, I draw my cards up. I get my 5. Replace it there. You can see Boss comes out, Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter in your discard pile is fantastic when you're using Jabba's Sail Barge. The ability to remove it from your discard pile into your hand is handy. Alright, so I'll pay those 3 there, resources. Beautiful. I'm looking to buy that. Most likely the Sea Rock Cruiser, right? Grand Moff Tarkin's a little scary in this section here. I think we want to even pay for a 4th one here. And that means I get the Headhunter and the Sea Rock Cruiser. And in reviewing it again, I would have bought the Sea Rock Cruiser for defense, but I bought Bosk purely for the attack. And if you kill someone in the row, you get points, right? So my B-Wing I bought previously, I got from the Mon-Cala shipyards. Lets me play it in my hand, which is nice. And that's really good for me to be able to do 5 damage. What it does when you play the card, they have to discard a card, or you get +3 attack, or 2 attacks, so it's 7, which means it starts hitting quite hard, right? B-Wing being the bomber of the Rebel Alliance. So you can see here, I'm going to hit that there with my guard and against Moff Tarkin to gain 3 resources and to gain 3 force points, right? Which is kind of nice. So that Temple Guardian lets you pick 1 attack, 1 force, or 1 resource when you play him. And so I decided to play it for attack there to do enough against Grand Moff Tarkin, which means I can buy the Hammerhead Corvette, add it to my discard pile, spend the 4, and away I go. Which means I do start having capital ships nearby. Love the Hammerhead Corvette. Very thematic from Rogue One. Lets me discard it so I can place it against a ship and it removes them from play. Playing a game the other night where I used two Hammerhead Corvettes to remove two Star Destroyers. Then I was able to attack with like 7 to remove a whole heap of other ships as well. It was highly satisfying. Right, so I play General Views. He gets 4 attack, which is awesome. And he gets to draw a card if there's a trooper or vehicle in play. Unfortunately, there's no ATST or AT in play, or there's no stormtroopers. So he does 4 attacks straight against Mon Cala, and I buy the Siroc Cruiser from this one here. Right, so where we go there. I draw my deck up for once in the right order. Next player's turn. All right, you can see here, I still got, that's a very basic hand there. So I'm going to attack for 2. Again, you can do things in any order in your turn, which is great. As long as you aggregate your attack at the end, you need to aggregate all of your attack, right? Then distribute it across the opponent's targets. So you can't attack with 2 and then attack with 2 again. You attack with everything at once. So there is some way you want to play the order, but you can buy a card from the market, then buy another one at a time. That works as well. All right, so I'm going to spend the 4 here, so I have 5 in total, which lets me have choice about what I want to buy. And I'm aiming for a cruiser for sure. I need a headhunter, I think. Yeah, so you can see that's an example of spending 3. And if I wanted to flip the deck there, I could have bought the headhunter here and then bought Chewie. Right. However, yeah, what I did here was cool. I bought something for 3 instead of playing Temple Guardian for a resource. I just rolled it back and played it for a force point. Again, play it in order, which is cool. All right, so I have 2 stormtroopers, a landing craft, and 2 Imperial shuttles. Landing craft gives me 4 resources, so essentially I get 6 resources here. Which is a quick way of ramping really quickly. It lets me buy expensive cards. A Star Destroyer 7, for example. So the Stormtroopers are going to attack. They're going to do 4 damage here against Chewie, and they're going to kill Chewie here, which lets us gain 3 force points, which means that moves into their side, goes 1, 2, 3, and moves up to into control the Force. So you can see there, not quite earning a resource per turn, but when you determine if you have the Force is now with the Empire, which is cool. Again, anything that's not the middle on your side is having control of the Force. You just get a bonus resource if it's fully all your way across. All right, Smuggler's cool here because the Smuggler lets you you get 3 resources and you can really quickly ramp your resources here to pay for expensive cards. And my thought was, okay, ATST, AT-AT, Star Destroyers are expensive. Let's have enough resources in the bag. All right, so draw the card. Rebel turn. The B-Wing and the Commando here, which is handy to thin out the Empire player's deck. And the Outer Rim Pilot. So the Outer Rim Pilot here, I am going to play for 2, and then I'm going to exile him, the action on his card. Exile means remove from the game, can't come back. Again, thin my deck out a bit, and lets me pull the Force Tracker back 1 slot. I'm going to use the 2 resources I got here. I think I'll buy some ships here. I think this is where I buy the Y-Wing. But first I'll play here the B-Wing and the Rebel Commando. So the B-Wing has 5, Rebel Commando has 3. The Force is not with me, so this should not be at random for the Commando. It should have been picked. Look, it's not game changing, but again, I just thought the Force was with me. The first 3 or 4 games I played, the Force was with me the entire time. Yes, I mistakenly played that one. That's okay. They still kept Darth Vader. Right, they're just going to smash me. So you can see here, 3, 6, 9, plus 4 is 14 damage. Now, because there's no ships yet, this has been a really, there's not many capital ships so far in this one. What you see here is this is all going to go against Corellia, right? So it doesn't make for some sort of spectacle viewing where you got a buffer of a 7 hit point Star Destroyer or something like that. This is going straight into where I want to attack, straight into the Corellia there. So I'd replace the card, the Galaxy Row. Yeah, cool. I'm getting frustrated because there's no ships. I'm like, where are the ships, right? It's okay. This is what happens in this game in the deck builder. You get to choose. The Galaxy deck is 90 cards. There is 3 of some cards, right? So you're not going to see every ship every game. Like I've seen the Millennium Falcon once. I've only ever had Han and Millennium Falcon and Luke all out at once, right? Cool. Draw the Death Star. Okay, so this is the next location. So the thing here is you can't rampantly destroy someone where someone gets hit. There's the snowball effect that Caleb mentions. So you can see here at the start of the next player's turn, you then replace the base card. So by taking that time to wait to replace it, I can't just crush them and do like 100 damage and go through 4 locations. However, the Rebel player now has 2 locations captured at the moment. So we can see here that Lothal and Corellia are in the victory display. But you can see here all of a sudden Darth Vader, the Force on his side, okay, is going to be scary because when Darth Vader is one with the Force, or the Force is with him, he gets +4 attack, doing 10, so 6 + 4, with an ATST. And an ATST lets you remove a card from the Galaxy Row. So you can see there Vader. If the Force is with you, gain 4. So 2 Force points already. So you already can bring it out if it's not fully on your side. And then away you go. So this is a 14 damage attack. So this is just going to wipe Mon Cala, right? We want to look at the Gazanti Cruiser. So here we removed a card from the Galaxy Row. And this would normally face back to the Empire player, but like I said earlier, I've got it facing towards us. It's a bit easier. Alright, so you can see there, the Gazanti is nice. It generates 2 resources and lets you discard a card to draw a card. Alright, so Mon Cala is pasted. Darth Vader and the ATST attack for 14, right? And this is a fleet wiping sort of thing. You could have like 6 ships out, and depending on what they are, they'll paste them. So Dagobah comes out. He lets me exile 3 cards. However, I don't need to exile 3 cards. I don't want to, so it's a bit of a meh. Again, you normally pick your selection of bases at the start and then pick the one you want to reveal after the first one. So you'll start on Dantooine and Lothal, and from there you get to choose. Yavin does things for when you place attacks, and you discard cards in a player's deck. Hoth takes the first 2 damage done against it and removes it. Right, you saw the ships being added from the relevant ones before, from Mon Cala and Corellia. Right, so it's got a bit of flavour to it, which is nice. Alright, so I got my 3 resources here. There's no capital ship in play, so when I play the Z95, I don't get to draw a card. Drawing a card's powerful because you get to play it without cost, right? You've already paid for it. So you can see here that it's happening. There's an Imperial carrier, thankfully, so when the Imperial carrier is in play, if you play a TIE fighter or some sort of fighter, you will get +1 attack. There's Chirrut, which is cool. Chirrut lets us when they're forced with you, you gain 2 attack. Baze Melbus is cool. For each card in the victory display, he gets, you conjured, he gets +1 attack. So Baze can actually help out quite nicely. Alright, so we're going to see what we can do here with that. Then we're going to attack essentially with that trooper and ship, and we'll do 4 against the Death Star. Now, the Death Star is kind of scary because if you can spend 4 resources, what happens here is that those 4 resources can destroy a capital ship in the row or in your play area, right? So it could spend 4 resources to clear out a capital ship, then the attack that hand does goes straight against the planet, which is a very good way of removing some of the defenses. So if you've got a couple of Star Destroyers, it works out well. Sorry, Mon Calamari ships, but we don't have any at the moment. So Vader, Trooper, Inquisitor, and 2 shuttles. So I'll get the 3 resources here. I get 1 for having the Force with me, so I'm on 4, essentially. So what I do is I pay for the Gazanti cruiser, which means I should replace it in the row. First thing, Pandom in the row. I attack here, so 10 plus 2, right, is 12. Straight up paste the entire planet in one shot. Ideally, you've drawn out a card by now that will protect it. Sullust. So Sullust here is the first card that you purchase from the row is placed on top of your deck. So if you buy capital ships, you're guaranteed to get them next turn, which is really handy, right? There's my Corvette. I can see here, there's my Sea Rock, right? It's happening. So you can see there, that's 3 resources coming out. So the resource little icons, 1, 2, 3. I was taken from the other area. Normally your other player clears up, right? But yeah, make sure you split your little shits across both play areas. So the trooper here, I can use the commando again. The force is not with me. And this is what I think when I was recording this. Oh, hang on. The last time I played this, did I randomly remove a card or did I select a card from the other player's area? So, alright, so we play this here. Play that, buy turret for 3. You can see here there's a Star Destroyer. There it is, 7 for 4 attack and 7 hit points. Very easy to generate resources when you've got those previous mercenaries we discussed. Alright, so look, 3 attack there, plus 2 for 5. You can't attack ships in the row. You only can target things that have an icon against them. And at the moment, there's neutral ships in the row, so it becomes a little tricky here. This is where I use the commando, and because I don't have the force with me, I get to pick which card comes out of that hand as the Empire player. If the Rebel player had the force, they would have had to do it at random. Alright, so here we go again. Sea Cruiser. So Sea comes out to defend the area. And I should say attack those troopers there. I've got a bit of points here, so I get 1 from the force, 2 more from the Imperial shuttles. I'll pay the Stormtrooper here and just do 2. All I've got is this, so I'll just do 2 damage. And what I did here was I discarded a card from the with the Sea Cruiser's ability to remove some damage, 3 damage from the base, which helps me buy some time on the Death Star. I imagine it is flying in with some supplies, right? And what I do here is I think about buying 2 Outer Rim pilots and then go, actually, you know what? No, don't do that. What I'm going to do is use the Death Star laser, and I'm going to blow up the Hammerhead Carillion Corvette because I would use that on the Star Destroyer that's most likely going to enter the Empire's play area very soon, right? So it's a good way of clearing that out. Look at that, 4 resources, which is cheap to acquire, especially that landing craft. And all of a sudden, you've got a very, very dead environment. So Solus is here. Currently, the Empire is winning. They got 3 out of 4 needed to win. In our game, we agreed to play with 4. There's 10 planets per side, right? So you can actually play a galaxy-wide thing or a short one, depending on how you want to play the game, right? Solus is handy because the first one I buy goes to the top of my deck. So if I can clear this market row out, the good thing for me here is I can start getting things in my hand and on top of my deck, which means I don't have to go through the discard pile and rotate it through. So you see there, I bought that thanks to Solus. It goes to the top of my deck. There's a U-wing, right? Super. If I buy that, it goes to the top of my deck, which is nice. So we're amassing the fleet. We're getting everyone ready. It feels thematic. It feels good. Amassing the fleet to the top of the deck. All right, so there's 5 from the B-wing. If they don't discard a card, I gain 2 damage. So I think I'll just discard the shuttle here. I think the shuttle's the best one here because I've got landing craft resources. So I'll get rid of the shuttle, so I'll still be able to generate 5 resources, which is handy there. And actually more because the Twi'lek Saboteur will give me more. So that's cool. So I attack there for 7, which means 3 goes against the Sea Rock, and the remaining 4 go on the Death Star. So the Death Star is sitting at 12 of 16. Oh, sorry, 10 of 16. And that's the hand drawn there. Alright, I'll pick up the hand. The Sea Rock's destroyed. I put it accidentally on top of the hand. The Twi'lek Smuggler, I play it for 3 resources. Okay, cool. Which means I can do that in the shuttle and get, there's 4 from the landing craft, 3 from the smuggler. Gives me 7. Or does that give me, ladies and gentlemen, and viewers of the scenario? That is 7 resources, and I am buying the first Star Destroyer of this game. So now there's a big buffer sitting there. Now, unfortunately, there's no way to get it to the top of the deck. It goes straight to the discard pile, right? Which is a shame. Here, General Veers is there, and away we go. Right. All right. Cool. So you can see here the Xerox going to is done because General Veers is attacking here for 4, and General Veers goes away. We clean up the area. We play again. All right. So there's not enough cards. He has 4 out of 5, so I shuffle my deck. Replace the card here. So a draw spies. Here we are. A few more rebel cards coming in. All right, draw that the extra cards I need to make on my 5. Got a Y-wing, which is nice. I can do some damage. You got to find this right balance between getting enough resources, but also doing enough damage, and also manipulating the row, right? There hasn't been much on the row here for both sides where they can target, but like you can see here, the Jura Spy now and the U-wing give the Empire a target. All right, so play 2 shuttles for 2 resources. I'll play a third one for 3. And what we get here is 3 resources. And I'll get the I'm not sure where that 4th resource came from now on re-recording. That's all right. Well, I don't think it changes the result, to be honest. The Rhodian Gunner, if it attacks the market row. Okay, so I bought something I shouldn't have bought here, but that's fine. It's in the discard pile anyway. And so you can see here that like I have and technically that's the first thing I bought, so it should have gone to the top of the deck, but that's all right. So if the Rhodian Gunner hits the target, hits the row, you get more perks, right? So there's ideas that some things are better attacking the row, others are different attacking different bases. So you can see here, all right. So ATST is here. So that Y-wing and the Rhodian gun attacked the Death Star. The Death Star is on 4, 8, 12, 14 out of 16. I play the blockade runner. And the ATST. The ATST removes a card from the row, and we replace that Y-wing with a Nebulon frigate. I should have cleared that Y-wing and Rhodian gunner from the rebel play space, but that's all right. And the Star Destroyer comes out too, so that's a good draw. It means that card that went on the discard pile was shuffled and picked up as the 1 card there. So you can see here now I'm grouping things. Okay, that's the attack on the left-hand side, resources on the right. So Star Destroyer and the frigate patrolling the Death Star, protecting it. I buy from the row here. Utini comes out, and the Inquisition gives me an extra point here to attack. So I'm attacking for 4, 5, 9, and 9 against that. There, I was clean up the rebel area. So yeah, 9 against that there is pretty heavy, and away we go. I think I cleaned up a capital ship there, not realizing. So a capital ship should have stayed in that turn. Again, this doesn't change the outcome of this one here too much because in about 3 minutes' time, it's toast. You can see here that Sullust is on 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. Right. It's going to be hit by that Star Destroyer for 4, that's for sure. So pull out Bosk, pull out the Fang Fighter, pull out the Z95, right? So there's that I can take out that Star Destroyer if I need to. 3 resources, of which I'll spend 2. Add the attack there, so it becomes 4, 7, 10. And that 10 is not enough, unfortunately, to get me through the Star Destroyer. 7 gets me through that, because you essentially pull the resources at 10, and then you assign it how you want to against the defenders. So 7 goes on the Star Destroyer, and then we go on to the next ship if I need to. But right now, I've just blown the Death Star up with this motley crew of a Headhunter, a Fang ship, Bosk, and a Temple Guardian. Well, I imagine them flying the relevant ships. So it's 3-all now. And what's happened here is we can see that Rhodia is Imperial occupation. I can see here that I'm on 15 out of out of 16 there, I can see that I've played my Star Destroyer, replace the card in the row, and that one extra damage goes on there. So 4, 8, 12. Now, I think I've counted 12. So what I've done in my tiredness, and I've recorded this out of the quite late, is that I've taken the mental page here that it was 12 and not 16, and I was on 11. And when Rhodia comes out, Rhodia will do a damage to the base for each opposition card in the row. And given there was a Y-wing in the row, you remove it from the row and do a damage to the base. And what I did here was, oh, cool, I want 11 out of 12, not 16. And it bang, it blew up, and away we go. Now, if we were to play that hand again, that what was in that hand, there was a Star Destroyer, there was a Stormtrooper, there was another Stormtrooper, and General Veers. So Star Destroyer for 4, General Veers for 4, and two Star Destroyers for 2 Stormtroopers for 2 each would have been definitely enough to do that. Those 4 extra damage points against Salist. Now, that is a very quick overview of the deck building game. It's not meant to be the most perfect rule set. There are additional advanced rules about Galaxy Mode and more things there, but thoroughly enjoyable, really fun, really quick to play. You can even play it 4-player with 2 sets, but get amongst it. It comes out soon. Enjoy. And if you have any more questions, comment below, like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.